that was the last second of your life and your story ends right here. So just imagine for a moment you don't have the ability to do more conversations with your friends or your family. You don't have the possibility to phone them and tell them that you love them. You really have no more chances to go for your dreams, and there is no more "I will do it tomorrow" or one day. But by God's grace, that's not what's happening today, because thankfully you're still here, which means you still have time, and that realization alone has the power to change everything. However, what is ending now is the version of you that has been living a life that never truly fit. That version is allowed to dissolve completely and without regret, because from this moment forward, something new begins. We make a conscious decision together as we start into a new direction, a life that is created with intention, alignment, and truth. And I want to share with you the insights that changed everything for me. Insights that touched me so deeply, I know that they have the power to shift something within you as well. So it all began on a cold winter bench, a moment that gave me 3 questions that completely changed the way I live my life right now. Because those 3 questions that can instantly show you whether you are truly living or slowly drifting away from the life you actually want. And once you understand it, you will start looking at your life very differently, with more clarity, more urgency, and more courage. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Alex, host of the Remarkable Opportunities podcast, and if reflections like this help you step into a braver, more remarkable life, then hit subscribe so you will never miss another episode. Remarkable opportunities. Remarkable opportunities. So let me tell you how this insight came to me. Imagine an old, icy winter afternoon. The sun was bright and the air was freezing because we only had 2 degrees. And you are not really in the mood to go outside, but there is a quiet inner voice inside you that tells you, go outside, go outside. And so you walk in silence with no phone and no music on, and 15 minutes later you find yourself walking toward the cemetery where your grandmother's grave is. You stay only for a few minutes, which is a bit strange for you because normally you are there longer and speak with your grandma. But today you start wander through the side paths and you see that everything is so carefully tended that you can almost feel the love of the living holding the memory of those who are gone. And at that far end you see a bench. Even though the air says you shouldn't sit down because it only had 2 degrees, the sun had warmed the wood just enough that you can sit down, and for a brief moment winter feels like spring for you. And as you sit down you think, oh, what a beautiful moment, finally sitting and finally just being. And then this absolutely beautiful thought arrives. And this thought wasn't a normal thought, because this was one question that suddenly stops time. And it was, what if the light went out right now? What if this moment was the last moment of my life? If I suddenly became a spirit in this world, no longer able to change anything, what would I regret most? And then you sit there, blink with your eyes and start opening the notebook you're always carrying with you and begin writing. And the answers come so quickly, and you really have tears in your eyes when you start noticing what you haven't integrated in your life yet. For example, being more loving with myself, inner happiness and contentment, not finishing the book, not painting more, not telling my people I love them every single day because I think it's so important to tell them this. Spending more time in nature and not being able to travel to places my heart keeps pointing to, and not giving my own projects the space they deserve. And you keep writing and the list grows longer than you can even expect. And suddenly you finally feel alive again, as an incredible sense of aliveness flows through every part of your being, as if it has reached the very depth of your bones. And what surprises you the most is that almost none of those regrets are about achievements. They are all about unlived experiences, unexpressed love, and unfollowed dreams. And as you sit there reflecting, you suddenly realize you withdrew yourself from life. You closed yourself off from experiences, from connections, and from the very flow that makes you feel alive. Not because you wanted to, but because at some point it felt safer to step back than to fully be. And strangely, you don't even feel cold anymore, as the sun warms your face and suddenly something else rises inside you as well. A deep wave of gratitude for everything that already exists in your life, and you get tears in your eyes again because it feels as if the universe pressed a pause button and whispered, look closer towards everything that you already have. So when the page is full, you still have tears in your eyes, but you need to smile so bright because something has shifted now, as you have found a compass. That compass that you were looking for years. And then suddenly a second question arrives. What kind of eulogy would be written for me? And what would people say about me? So you start writing again. You imagine yourself from the perspective of others. What would you love to hear said about your life? And when you finish the eulogy, you start smiling again. Because the life described there is not impossible. It is simply a life that requires courage to live. And then arrives the final question, a question that feels like a second chance. If life gave me another opportunity starting today, what would I want to live for? And while the answers appear, the interesting part is that they are different from the regret list, as they are clearer, closer, and more alive. So you fill another page with excitement, because now the areas of life that truly matter begin to reveal themselves. And you sit there with the sun on your face, reflecting and asking yourself again and again, is there anything else I absolutely want to experience? Anything else that must become part of my life story? And for the first time, the answer is so clear. It's a no. So you exhale deeply because something beautiful happened on that winter bench. You found clarity. And as the wind returns and the sun disappears behind a cloud, you realize you just found one of the most powerful compasses for your life. So here is the simple compass you can use today. 3 questions that can completely realign your direction. So question number 1 is, if the light went out today, what would I regret most? Question number 2 is, what kind of eulogy would I want spoken about my life? And question number 3 is, If I receive a second chance starting today, what would I want to live for? And now turn your answers into action. Create 3 lists. The first one is keep, the second is end, and the third one is begin. So keep really everything what feeds your joy and your health, and what drains your energy and silences your voice, and begin the projects, conversations, and small courageous steps that make you feel more alive. And then make it real within the next 24 hours. Because if you don't start, you can't create your remarkable life, or in other words, the life your heart desires. So choose one item from the begin list and take the smallest possible step. Send, for example, the email, write the first page, book the tickets to this amazing vacation, or for example, buy the canvas, because momentum loves immediacy. And then practice a simple visibility ritual. For example, every day for 2 minutes, write or whisper to yourself, I take up space now with love, and then do one small visible act. Share an idea, post something meaningful, and invite someone into your world, because the life you imagine cannot meet you if you stay hidden from it. And there's the gentle science behind why this works. So regret-based reflection clarifies what truly matters to you, as imagining your legacy strengthens your identity and also your direction. And taking small actions builds confidence through quick wins. In simple words, clarity plus small courageous action creates sustainable transformation. And that's what we are looking for. So let this be your reminder today. Never underestimate your current steps. Even the quiet ones are building up, as one day you will look back and realize that your notes became one map, and a winter bench became a beginning, and choosing to be visible turned your life from almost into absolutely. And if this episode resonated with you, then remarkabilize us so you will never miss another episode about personal transformation and life's remarkable opportunities. And if you try these 3 questions today, tell me the one micro step you take, because every remarkable life begins with one honest moment of reflection. I'm cheering for you and wishing you all the best, because you can do it. All the best, your Alex.